What's the Marine Corps all about? It's very simple. It's about fighting. I've been in 23 years now. I participated in 2 wars. Needless to say, we don't start the wars, but we will fight them. You need a professional military outfit if you're going to be a strong nation. The Marine Corps is very professional. Very cut and dried as far as I'm concerned. If it's time to go to war, I want to go to war with the Marines. I don't want to do it any other way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sentinel. Now, there's a tremendous amount of interest in my daily wear. Today, I'm wearing another Walmart shirt with a collar, as you can notice. And I've also got very fancy Walmart glasses. And the reason for these glasses is so I can read. As you get older, obviously your eyesight decreases a little bit, but I'm still doing okay. The previous episode that we did was about the Commandant assigning, in my opinion, commanders to key billets who don't have the combat experience or have not served in the combat arms MOSs. We talked about commanders at OCS that were primarily communicators, MPs, logisticians, and whatnot. When for the previous 100 years prior to that, typically the commanders at OCS were all combat arms and generally infantrymen, highly decorated. We talked about Colonel Wesley Fox, Colonel Johnston, who I still look up to, and obviously the former Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Shepard. So, there's a legacy there. There's a tradition. And the reason we want these people in the officer candidate school is so they can evaluate the candidates for future combat potential. And unless you've been there and done that, you have no idea how to evaluate that. You can't read this stuff out of a book. So, for example, you can't read Muscle Magazine and expect to put on muscle. You got to get in the gym and you got to actually do the reps and the sets to be able to do that. I mean, this is simple stuff. It ain't that complicated. But yesterday I also brought up the fact that 8th and I, the Marine Barracks, which is essentially the home of the Commandant of the Marine Corps, has got a female woman Marine commander, Colonel Carrie Batson. And I just want to clarify the previous episode that this is not about the individual. This is about how we're assigning these commanders and paving their way to become a general officer, because most of them in these key billets, OCS, the basic school, 8th and I, end up being general officers. So these commanders are handpicked by the Commandant. The Commandant decides who he wants in these positions, and that's their pathway to become a general. And the reason this is important is because are we pushing aside good officers, proven officers in combat, and combat leaders to make way for these officers that the Commandant has handpicked? And by selecting these officers and giving them preference, is this DEI? I believe it is, because you're giving preference based on gender, on ethnicity, or based on your previous relationship with this officer. And that's wrong. The preference should be given to the most qualified. So the question is, are these officers the most qualified? So let's look at one of these officers, Colonel Carrie Batson, the commanding officer of 8th and I. So she graduated in 1999 with a Bachelor of Arts in History from Pepperdine University. So I'm kind of shocked that she's not a Naval Academy graduate. Nonetheless, she graduated, did well in the basic school, graduated with honors, and then became a public affairs officer. In 2000, she's assigned to the 1st Marine Division. And then in 2001, she's assigned to the 11th MEU and participated in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Stabilize in basically Horn of Africa and East Timor. Then in 2006, as a captain, she led the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton Consolidated Public Affairs Office. So, again, she's got, a lot of experience in public affairs. So in 2007, she graduated from San Diego State University with a master's in communications and earned her civilian accreditation in public relations. In 2008, she was assigned to Headquarters Marine Corps in the Pentagon as the Public Affairs Strategic Communications Officer. In 2011, she attended Command and Staff College and graduated distinction. And obviously got a master's degree in military studies. And then she went to the School of Advanced Warfighting. I also attended one of the early classes of School of Advanced Warfighting. It's a good program, and you get a master's degree in operational studies. Then in 2013, she deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom to Afghanistan as a speechwriter for the commander of International Security Assistance Force. 2013, the commander of ISAF was General Dunford. So she's a speechwriter for General Dunford, and I don't know why the commandant ISAF needs a damn speechwriter. You should just speak from the heart. But nonetheless, so she's hitched her wagon to General Dunford, who ends up being commandant of the Marine Corps. And then after that, in 2014, she's assigned to 1MEF G3, G5 as a MAGTF planner, which makes sense because as a SOG graduate, you're given an MOS of a MAGTF planner, and she participated in MEF exercise, which is called a MEFX, exercise Dawn Blitz, which is probably just a experimentation type exercise, not an actual deployment and field operation. In 2018, she was assigned to the Marine Corps War College, where she earned another master's degree. So now she's got 3 master's degrees. And then in 2021, she's assigned to the U.S. Marine Corps Forces Pacific as Assistant Chief of Staff in Communications, Strategy, and Operations. So she's got an incredible amount of book knowledge, 3 master's degrees. She spent most of her time in public affairs and as a speechwriter, with a short stint as a MAGTF planner, working on an experimentation exercise. Then in July 2024, she assumed command of Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. Now, think about this. What this says is there's no other colonel qualified in the Marine Corps to assume command of Marine Barracks 8th and I. So she was the most qualified person to command Marine Barracks 8th and I. I say bullshit. And the reason I say bullshit is because I know her contemporaries, and there's so many damn good officers that were pushed aside to make way for her so she can have a pathway to become a general officer. And the only reason she's going to become a general officer is because she's a woman. And I'm telling you, this is the type of crap that goes on in the military, and it's so far below Peter Hegseth's radar, but it's really eating away at good people who are busting their asses, risking their lives in combat, and they come back and they get pushed aside because some officer worked for the Commandant of the Marine Corps and is given preferential treatment. And that is the essence of DEI.
This is a disciplined organization. We're not a welfare organization. We don't hire the handicapped. You're a Marine. You're here to do a job. You're here to defend the country. And let's not get caught up in these issues, these social issues that might tend to degrade the performance and effectiveness of a combat organization.
We should not give any preference to anybody. It should be based on meritocracy. It should be based on standards. And every command position should have a requirement that a person is either combat arms or infantry and has the requisite time and experience to be a commander as they move up in rank. Now, trust me, all these officers that I've mentioned in the previous episode are fantastic individuals. Some of them I know. They're incredible. But the problem is they're not the most qualified. They were given special preference to assume command of these organizations, to make pathways for them to become general officers. And in so doing, they're pushing aside good, hardworking officers that have deployed, they've been in combat, they've been outside the wire, they've been in gunfights, and they just get pushed aside for somebody who's preferred. And that's bullshit, in my opinion.
We don't promote those who are unqualified. We don't give you a free ride. It's tough. And I think that this type of challenge is very attractive.
Now, having said all that, I also know some very good officers that are not necessarily combat arms or have been in combat, but they're just fantastic officers. And without naming anybody, I'll tell you a personal story. When I was at Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego, I'd done 15 cycles, and I had one of my series commanders was just a phenomenal officer, non-combat arms, and at the time, none of us had combat experience, but he was just, a hardworking, diligent, and really focused on, training recruits and leading his drill instructors. So when the time came for me to rotate out of there, the battalion commander asked me who should be my replacement, and I recommended him. And the reason I recommended him was because he was, in many cases, better than I was. He was just so damn focused and hardworking in everything and mentally tough and really committed to the mission at hand. He cared about the recruits' training, and he deeply cared about leading the drill instructors. So the battalion commander took my advice and made him the company commander. And he did a fantastic job. And later on, he deployed overseas, in combat, and also, was outside the wire. And he did fantastic. And there are some officers like that, and they're fantastic. I would have no problem with him being in command of OCS because he's just a hard ass and he's so damn focused. He's like a laser beam. And let me tell you something. And he would inspire candidates just like I was inspired by then Colonel Johnston, or many have been inspired by Colonel Wesley Fox. That's the type of combat leaders we want. We are a war-fighting organization. We're not a public affairs organization, and we got to focus on war fighting. And the only way you can focus on war fighting is by getting war fighters in key billets to inspire the junior officers, to inspire the staff NCOs, and to inspire the NCOs. That's how we're going to come out of this freaking morass that we're in, that this previous generation of general officers have created, going all the way back to General Anus. And it's just mind-boggling to me that we continue down this road. And the reason we continue down this road is because Anus basically picked this current crop of general officers, and they pick like-minded people that they're comfortable with, that they're not threatened by. And this cycle keeps repeating itself because these general officers pick similar like-minded people. So what I would recommend to the Secretary is you got to get inside deep down to the colonel level in the Marine Corps and start looking at these positions and see if we truly have war fighters in these positions, or we have these great speechwriters leading our Marines. And, let me be clear. 8th and I is supposed to be a war-fighting unit. Yeah, they do ceremonial parades. They do all this fancy stuff, dog and pony shows and stuff. But every one of those Marines, in these platoons is supposed to be an infantryman and ready to deploy in combat, and previous contingencies they have deployed. And I'd be hard-pressed to see how a public affairs officer would take them into combat into Iraq, Afghanistan, or the Pacific Theater for that matter. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get people killed unnecessarily. So I just want to clarify my position. I support the most qualified person in that position. And the requirements for those positions should be warfighters. It should not be because, we give preference to an individual because they went to the Naval Academy, they work for some general officer, or we just need more females, or we need more minorities. We don't need that type of horseshit in the Marine Corps. And I say this as a minority. We want a standards-based Marine Corps that looks at the person's qualification and assigns them and promotes them based on their qualification. It's really that freaking simple. This is not rocket science, Eric Smith, so let's get to it. And I encourage Pete Hegseth and Stu Schiller. I know your office watches this channel, and you also watch other channels to get feedback to start looking into this because, it's a mess in the making. Not currently, but in the out years. You're going to have another mess because the cycle is going to keep repeating itself, and we got to break the cycle. So you got to get down to the 06 level, and we got to fix it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. It's an important one. Wait a second. I just want to also share with you important news. Betrayal of Command is out. It's available on Amazon. It's the #1 bestseller, and it's all because of you. The viewers and the readers. Please make sure you get a copy, because for me, combat is very personal, and it's really a tribute to the Marines and sailors of Battalion Landing Team, 1st Battalion, 6th Marines. Unfortunately, because of my controversial relief from command, their legacy and their courage was stolen from them by these same type of pogues that I'm talking about. So it's important that we recognize them. And the only reason I'm pitching this thing is the proceeds from this book I'm giving to charity. I don't need the money. I'm very happy in my Walmart apparel and also my Walmart glasses. I think they look pretty damn sharp. And finally, I just want to take a moment and wish every American, and especially the viewers of Sentinel, a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you get to spend time with your family and just take a moment and think about all those things that we should be thankful for. We should be thankful for our faith in God. We should be thankful for our family. And we should be thankful for the neighbors that we have. And most importantly, we should be thankful for our Constitution. It's a very important document that we should always keep at the forefront of who we are as Americans. And I realize our country has some problems, but if we stay united, we can work through these issues. At the end of the day, this is all about America. It's all about the future of our country. It's about Americans, and it's about leaving a better country than we inherited for our sons and daughters and for our grandchildren. I mean, it's really that simple, and as long as we stay united and we stay true to who we are, we'll overcome these challenges, no question. And lastly, I know many of you in the Digimob are going to eat a lot this Thanksgiving meal, and you should. You've earned it, okay? But by the same token, also just take a moment and think about your health. Don't drink too much. If you do eat a lot, and if you do drink, get out there the next day and work it off. Get rid of the damn gut. because we don't want a chubby digimob. We want to be fit because we are veterans. So that's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Con out, and a happy Thanksgiving.